Gita and look for a verse, and if I were to turn the pages, what would Krishna want us to read? And I thought, we'll just do that and see what happens. And this is the verse that came up actually. And surprisingly, for those who may not or may not know, I'm actually going to take this verse tomorrow in the evening at the Gita at the Gauranga Center. And I opened the book and there it was 266. It's a very nice verse, and I thought it would be useful for us to take back because Krishna is the speaker of the Gita. I only made 20 copies, so you may have to share. Anyway, let me tell you the story first. 2 minutes, and then we'll look at the verse. The story is very nice. There was this Brahmana who was very educated, very scholarly. And not only was he so scholarly, but many other learned scholars, they would come and they would spend time with him, hearing him. So in that story, what happens is the Brahmana was very powerful because he had so much knowledge. There used to be a girl who would come, she was the milkmaid, and her name was Lakshmi. And Lakshmi every day would cross the river, take a boat, and come down and give the milk to the Brahmana. One day the Brahmana told her, Lakshmi, it's very nice that you're sending me the milk, but try to send it before sunrise. She said, my dear Brahmana, it's difficult because the boat man only comes after sunrise. So I have to wait for him and I can't swim across this river. He said, I don't care. I'm a great Brahmana. Many people respect me. If I ask you to do something, it's for your good. So find a way to come here. So next day, she called the boatman and she told him for the following day, you please come earlier. He said, I'll try. So she waited and waited and waited. He didn't turn up until after sunrise. So by the time she reached the shores to serve the Brahmana, she was very anxious and he was very upset. And he immediately turned to her and said, Lakshmi, what is this? I told you a simple thing. Come and give me the milk before sunrise. And she said, I'm very sorry, the boatman could not do anything. He said, can't you even swim? She said, I don't know how to swim. And then the Brahmana became very philosophical. The Brahmana said, it is stated in our sastras that just by the chanting of the names of Hari, one can cross over the ocean of life. And you think that just by if you chant the names of Hari, don't you think you can cross over this small river? So you should think, there must be a way for you to come earlier. The Brahmana quoted shlokas because he was in the habit of quoting it. Sometimes we do that too. But then what happened was Lakshmi went back and she thought about what he said very carefully. Next morning she prayed very hard to Lord Hari. And before sunrise, as the Brahmana woke up, he saw Lakshmi in front of him. Lakshmi, that's very good. Thank you for bringing me the milk. She said, that's fine. Thank you for giving me the instructions. He said, what instructions? The instruction you quoted in the shloka yesterday. He said, Lakshmi, in one day I quote hundreds of shlokas. Which one is it? It's the one that says, Lord Hari alone will help you cross the ocean of life. Therefore, what is a small river? He said, okay, so what about it? So she said, that's how I came. He looked around and said, where's the boatman? She said, Brahmana, this is how I came. You told me to chant Hari's name. I chanted and I crossed over. He said, impossible. Those things don't happen. She said, that's how I'm here. So he said, show me now. So she walked to the edge of the river. She closed her eyes. She opened her heart. And then she chanted, Hari, 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 Hari. And she crossed the river. The Brahmana was astounded. And then she turned around and said, Brahmana, you taught me. How much more expert you should be. You crossed the river now. Brahmana was thinking, oh my God, today new silk dhoti. I hope it doesn't get wet. And he kept chanting, Hari, Hari, please make my dhoti not get wet. Please make my dhoti not get wet. He took 1 or 2 steps. She encouraged him. He looked down and he thought, oh, a little bit of my dhoti is now wet. And he went in. All of his dhoti became wet. He came out and he looked at Lakshmi. And she was very apologetic. I'm sorry, Brahmana. It worked for me. I thought it would work for you. And she was very innocent. And the Brahmana became philosophical this time for good reason. He said, Lakshmi, today I've learned something very important. It's wanting to quote shlokas. But real knowledge is actually when you put it into practice. And what is the point of all this knowledge if you don't have faith? So the whole point of this story, which is very famous, is that if one has faith in the process, then even if you don't have complete faith, but you have some faith, you'll find faith gives you the impetus, the courage to try something. That's very important. Sometimes people say, how do I just begin to have faith? Faith doesn't just begin. Bhagavad Gita says faith is cultivated. And you know how it's cultivated? In the association of saintly persons. In Sadhu Sangha, we create faith and we build faith. Looking at all of you, my faith increases. Mixing with all of you, hearing from all of you, my faith increases. But if I sit alone and I just read these books all the time, I'll become very scholarly. But I'll never dare to cross that river. Lakshmi took the words of the Brahmana very seriously, but she didn't take it at a mental level. She took it into her heart. She thought about it. She contemplated about it. That is considered in Bhagavad Gita as transcendental intelligence. Material intelligence is when you apply a technique or a theory and don't really do anything about it because it sounds very good to discuss it. And the problem with matter is matter must deteriorate and matter must end. But the beauty of spirit, it has the capacity to continue. So if you are driven by matter, then all the acquisitions that you want will be material. But eventually either you leave them or they leave you. But when you acquire spiritual wealth, that wealth is like a fixed deposit. It just keeps growing with interest. It never reduces. Because that wealth actually helps you. It builds your character. It gives you the strength to be self-sufficient, self-satisfied. Otherwise, what happens is that our happiness is so much dependent on an external factor. 2 days ago, I had to give a talk to this company known as Equinix. They are, a world driver in terms of IT and other solutions. And I was talking to about 100 developers. They're all developers. They work very hard, 18, 20 hours a day. And the question they wanted me to address was, how do you overcome fear? And one of the developers told me, for years and years, I woke up every morning just sweating over one thing, that somehow or another I must finish off the mortgage on my properties. The day I finished it, I became so happy. But then I realized that all these years, my happiness was hinging on whether I can finish this. And for so many years, I was doing so many amazing things. Everybody was praising what I was doing except myself. This is because we depend on something external for our happiness. But the Gita and all the scriptures tell us that there is something internal that really gives us happiness. And that can only happen when you develop a connection with your Creator. And that's what the verse is. Let's just read the verse and then we will.